Mr. Bordner is not here this evening. Mrs. Hoy?
Here.
Mrs. Miller?
Yeah.
Dr. Sabo?
Here.
Would you all rise and join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. I move to approve the minutes from our 4/23/25 meeting. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Ashley?
I want to point out that there was an error. It was called to my attention today. It notes that Lauren Miller called the meeting to order when it was actually Lori Bendel. That will be corrected, so you're approving a corrected version. Mrs. Bendel?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoy?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Dr. Sabo?
Yes.
I move to adopt the agenda. This is item 1.04 on our agenda. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Ashley?
Mrs. Hoy?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Dr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mrs. Bendel?
Yes. Jennifer, you want to tell us?
Just real quick, because the agenda looks a little different than it has in the past. We do not have a showcase tonight for a couple of reasons. Number one, starting in May, we start having 2 meetings a month, and that's for hiring because we have to get our hiring done pretty much before July. So we'll have 2 meetings this month and 2 meetings next month. The other reason is that we have some fabulous showcases to do for you on the 28th. The first one that we're planning for is a preschool presentation from our preschool team. Second, you will hear about our district leadership team and kind of a taking stock of where they are with their work with Inspiring All to Grow and Thrive and their Connect Create Challenge. And then finally, we're anticipating that we will be able to have a gifted conversation. So to have Kathy Mack come and present some information about what she's learned and some guidance about where she thinks we should head to best serve all of our students. So tonight, there will not be any showcase, but next couple weeks from now on the 28th, there'll probably be a couple.
That'll be rich.
Okay. Next up is public participation for items on the agenda. Do we have, I know we have some people signed up.
We do.
You got our list? Okay. I need to read a couple of things. I need to read a disclosure to you guys that I read it we have students speaking tonight, so I'm going to go into a little more detail. I have to read this disclosure at every meeting, so you have to bear with me while I read this disclosure. It's sort of the general rules around our public participation. And then we will not respond or engage when you guys do public participation. We then wait until we get to the agenda item that you guys were talking about, where it's later on in the meeting, and then at that point we'll vote to open the item for discussion, and then we'll talk about it. So it won't be you guys will get up and speak, and we won't talk right then about it. Okay.
And the discussion is the board discussion.
The discussion is the board discussion. So you guys are, we'd love to have you stay for the whole meeting and watch, but you also are free whenever we don't, a lot of times people come and speak and then they leave, which does not hurt our feelings. But if you would love to stay, we would love to have you. Okay. Public participation. The purpose of Board of Education meetings is for the board to conduct its business. Board meetings are held in public, but are not public forums. Community members who contacted the superintendent in advance of the meeting may be provided an opportunity to speak first. Pursuant to Board Policy 0169.1, the board agenda will have 2 public participation sections. The first public participation of the board agenda is specifically designed for the public to address the board with their comments related to the agenda items for that meeting. This portion of the meeting shall be limited to 30 minutes unless extended by a vote of the board. The second public participation section of the board's agenda is specifically designated for the public to address the board with their comments related to non-agenda items. This second opportunity for public comment shall be after the completion of all action items on the agenda. This portion of the meeting shall be limited to 15 minutes unless extended by a vote of the board. The board may permit individuals to attend meetings remotely through live broadcast. However, public participation will be limited to those who are in attendance at the meeting site only. The board is not responsible for any technology failures that prevent or disrupt any individual from attending remotely. Each participant will have 3 minutes to speak. No person may speak twice until all who desire to speak have had the opportunity to do so. Remember, this is a formal and official meeting of the board, and what you say becomes part of the official meeting report. If your comment involves a problem with a student, employee, or board member, please do not address them by name. Keep in mind, we are meeting in a schoolhouse and possibly in the presence of students. Following your public comment, if you have specific questions, please email the superintendent at jennifer.penzarski@chagrinschools.org. Okay.
First up, we have Zach Huey.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, members of the Board of Education. My name is Zachary Huey. I'm a junior here at Chagrin Falls High School, and I'm the captain of the cross-country team, and I'm here today to speak on behalf of the cross-country team. Recently, we have been made aware that our coach may not be coming back due to the decision to go to a one head coach model for our cross-country team. And to get the preferences of our team, I made a survey and sent it out to the team to see what they would, if they agreed with this decision or not. So I had my brother pass out the survey to you, and you can see here that I asked if they would prefer combined or separate practices, the same or separate meets, which team model they preferred, and if they wanted to keep the current coach or have a new coach. And we found that the preference was that there would be two teams that would compete together, but with two head coaches. The first question I asked was if they would like combined or separate practices, and the large majority of boys said they would prefer separate practices, and around half of the girls' team said they would prefer separate practices as well. For my second question, I asked if they would like same or separate meets, and the majority of boys and girls decided that they wanted to run in the same meets. My third question asked which team model they preferred, and there was little support for the one head coach model with a larger support for the two head coach model. And the final question is whether they would like to keep the current coach or have a new coach. And majority of both teams decided that they would like to keep their current coach that they had last year. I realize that the wheels are already turning for this decision to go to a one head coach model, but I was just hoping that you could see our preferences and hear our voices and hopefully to make a decision to add a second head coach. Thank you.
Thanks, Zachary.
Okay, next is John Mitchell.
Thank you for your time this evening. I always have to move this. Members of the board, my name is John Mitchell. My son Peter Mitchell is a participant on the cross-country team. And I'm going to talk a little bit about tonight something that isn't maybe measured in metrics. And when I think about my son's participation in the cross-country team, the word that comes to mind is inspired. And this is somebody who, when he ran the first time, and this is going to embarrass him when I say this because he's sitting behind me, came in dead last in the time trials in 7th grade. But he has blossomed under Coach Ferroni's leadership, under his guidance, under his coaching. And when I sit here and I consider my son's participation in cross country, and I look at the young men and their parents who have come tonight, I don't measure success in metrics, but instead, I think about the people who inspired me in my life and the mentors that all of us have had who've tried throughout our life to get us to be the best that we can be. And that's something you can't measure. And I will tell you, I've seen it firsthand in Coach Ferroni's attention to this team, how he guides these students, and how he genuinely cares about their well-being and wants them to be the best cross-country participants they can be. I watched the last board meeting, and I saw Coach Ferroni speak on behalf of himself, and I don't think that anybody gets into the business of coaching cross-country with the expectation they're going to become rich. I will say, though, you can see the return on investment that Chagrin Falls gets when Coach Ferroni and his passion, his time, his energy that he puts into making these students the best versions of themselves. So when you think about the type of people that our students will remember when they're later in life, those individuals, those teachers, those mentors, and those coaches who have inspired us are going to be the ones you're going to remember. And Chris Ferroni is one of those people. And when it comes time to decide who the appropriate coach should be for the cross-country team, I hope that you will consider what I've described as a non-measurable metric and take that into account. Thank you for your time.
Next is Kellen Byrne. Did I pronounce that right? Yeah. Kellen?
Hello, everyone. My name's Kellen Byrne. I've been running cross country since I've been in 7th grade, and I've never had a person like Coach Ferroni inspire me the way he does. He's inspired me to become a great person, a much better person, a much better teammate, and I've taken my talents on the cross country course far beyond what I expected. Similar to Peter Mitchell, I wasn't the greatest middle school runner. I was nothing special, and in a short time it's become a true passion of mine, and he's been the leading cause of that. And yeah, I've gotten to witness Peter Mitchell's growth. I don't want to hate on him as well, but he was not the best runner in middle school, and seeing him improve from then to one of the best runners in the conference now is just kind of a symbol of our cross country team and what we try to show and inspire. I know cross country isn't like the most exciting sport when people look at it, because it's most other schools, like other sports, punishments and stuff. And Coach Ferroni has been able to kind of harness the good of cross country, and he's convinced people that it's a great sport, and I'm all here for it. And he's just a phenomenal coach, and the main reason I'm here today is just to advocate for him as the #1 option for the cross country team's position next year. And yeah, I don't have much to say, but that's all. Like, I just can't imagine a cross country team without him. It'd be really sad. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Peter Mitchell, you can defend yourself.
Once again, thank you so much for the opportunity to speak to you today. We are truly grateful. My name is Peter Mitchell, and I run for cross country at Chagrin. In light of all the recent changes to the team, I'm here to show my support for Coach Christopher Ferroni, whom we as a team believe should continue his role in Chagrin athletics. To put it quite simply, Coach Ferroni has profoundly impacted the team in a positive way. He has become the heart and soul of a cross-country team that saw its first state berth in years and is set to come back even stronger. Without Coach Ferroni's support, our team would have never made it this far. He put his blood, sweat, and tears into the team and ensured we grew in the sport. Not only has he been an amazing coach mechanically, he has also become a mentor to those on the team who wish to learn about the activity they love through his extensive knowledge on running. He has instituted a complete cultural change within the team that promotes cooperative success and pushing each other beyond self-imposed limits. This season has been the best experience of my life, and the team has become a brotherhood as a result of his efforts. Therefore, we wish to retain Coach Ferroni going forward. He has unparalleled running knowledge and has over 30 years of experience. He's coached athletes to more than 30 state titles and knows a large network of talented coaches. He not only has success coaching boys, but also served as head coach of girls' teams at Hawken, where they became a Northeastern Ohio dynasty. It is clear that Coach Ferroni cares deeply about this team. He showed this at the previous board meeting, and he showed this throughout the season through his dedication to keeping athletes safe. Our stretching routines this season ensured we remained healthy, and he researched proper solutions in the event that injuries, an unavoidable part of running, occurred. For instance, when I started getting hip issues with my hip mid-season, he emailed me a list of stretches to resolve the issue. Furthermore, Coach Ferroni structured his training to avoid excessive workouts, aka hard runs, which was necessary for our success. He communicated plans weeks in advance and explained the exact reasoning behind his training when asked. Overall, Coach Froney has shown himself to be one of the most qualified high school coaches in the state and has quickly presented Chagrin with a blossoming program. He is loved by the team and has fostered unmatched passion for running within our athletes. All in all, we need our coach, and we hope you come to find the same. Thank you.
Thanks, Peter. Thank you.
That's it.
Okay. Thank you. And we normally take a little pause here if people don't want to stay after public participation. But again, if you'd like to stay, we would love you to stay. Move to approve consent agenda items 3.02 through 3.10. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Ashley?
Mrs. Miller,
Yes.
Dr. Sabo,
Yes.
Mrs. Bendel,
Yes.
Mrs. Hoy.
Yes.
I just want to note that on the agenda, we actually listed the roll on each of those items. We're not going to call the roll because it's consent. Those didn't need to all be there.
Okay, we're on to superintendent recommendations. As I was saying earlier to the kids, we will have a motion and a second to open that so that we can have a discussion on these different items. And then we talk about it, and then if we have any questions, and then afterwards we vote. So that's what's happening. Okay, I move to approve item 4.01, which is a motion to adopt resolution 25-018, adopting Ohio Department of Education and Workforce 2024 model policies as presented. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
This one is just our special education model policy, so we often have to align to what the state standards are. So this is just that alignment.
Got it. So there are a lot of things we just vote on every year. This is one of those things that we vote on a regular basis. Okay. Ashley, you want to take the roll?
Dr. Sabo,
Yes.
Mrs. Bendel,
Yes.
Mrs. Hoy,
Yes.
Mrs. Miller.
Yes.
I move to approve item 4.02, which is a motion to approve the following policies be revised as presented. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Again, our policy company, Neola, watches what's going on and how we need to be compliant, and they send updates, and that's what you were voting on, or to update those policies.
So we have since I have you here, we have a policy manual, which is all of the sort of state laws, federal laws, regulations, all of the things that we are as a school district are required to follow. And every time there's a change in state law or there's a change in federal law that impacts our policies, we have to update those policies to make sure that we're compliant. And then our teachers and our building administrators use those policies and guidelines to make sure that everything in the classroom is compliant with all the state laws, because public schools are the most heavily regulated industry in the state, meaning there's a lot of law around those, and that's how we make sure we're still compliant. Okay. But this is kind of fun. You guys are going to do a little lesson. Ashley, you want to take the roll?
Mrs. Bendel,
Yes.
Mrs. Hoy,
Yes.
Mrs. Miller,
Yes.
Dr. Sabo.
Yes.
Okay. I move to approve item 4.03, which is a motion to approve the summer ELA boot camps at Chagrin High School as presented. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
So these, again, are something that occur every year in the summer, and you can see specifically many of them are for AP courses.
Ashley?
Mrs. Hoy,
Yes.
Mrs. Miller,
Yes.
Dr. Sabo,
Yes.
Mrs. Bendel.
Yeah. Okay, item 4.04 is I move to approve a memorandum of understanding between Chagrin Falls Environmental Exempted Schools and the Board of Education and Chagrin Falls Education Association as presented. Let me read that again. This is a motion to approve a memorandum of understanding between CFEVS, Board of Education, and Chagrin Falls Education Association as presented. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
So this one, I think, is worth spending a little time on and to go through. So the first thing I think we should talk about is what a memorandum of understanding is and what that is with the union. So what we do is when we want to change something that's in the negotiated agreement, the union and I get together and we talk about what that change could be. Again, we try to make changes so that it best supports what students we're serving and our staff. And so once we work through the logistics of that memorandum, then the union president takes it to the union and they vote on the change, and then we as a board adopt the change. So what you're actually voting on tonight is the memorandum of understanding that the union has already approved. And that memorandum is about the coaching structure for cross-country. I just want to make sure that everyone understands that this isn't something that just happened overnight. There have been lots of conversations for the past couple of years about a structure where we could go back to what the essence of the program was of practicing together. And I think all of you got the survey that Zach had provided prior to the meeting. And I do believe that the numbers in the blue are percentages. But I think it's really important that they really wanted to run the same meets, which is something that we had done in the past, and they really wanted to work together as a unified team, is what we heard. Then after the board meeting in, which would have been 2 weeks ago, April, we made sure, when I say we, I think we need to define who we would be. We would be the administration, so that's your athletic director, that would be your high school principal, that could be anyone on my team, myself, I know some board members. We started to get feedback and input to whether or not the decision to go to a dedicated coach model, one coach, would be the best for our program. And I think the biggest fear that rose from all of this was, will Coach Ferroni, or will the 3 coaches that are currently coordinators be able to apply for the position? And the answer is yes. But because it's a new structure, and because in the current contract it says 3 head coordinators, right? And they're paid at a certain level. What we wanted to do too was to invest in the program, to say that the head coordinator, which head coach, would be at a pay scale that would be similar to that of another season that is similar in length and students and those kinds of things. So when you read the memorandum of understanding, we bumped one of those positions up to that soccer level because that's equivalent to what the season would look like for cross country. So that position is actually going to be compensated at a higher level. And the other 2 positions, which now are assistant coach, assistant coordinator kind of positions, those positions will not lose any level on the supplemental schedule. So those positions will be paid the same and follow the process. The issue is that, and since we spoke of Coach Ferroni, he's not the only person that has to reapply, right? So those positions, should you adopt the memorandum of understanding, would then prompt a series of postings to occur. And those postings would then be a head coordinator, head coach, and 2 assistant coordinators. So that's how that piece of the puzzle kind of works. And we heard a lot about inspiration, growing under even Mr. Mitchell, and Peter got to defend himself, which I think is great, about the different things that he's done, the success that we've seen, and those, Kaylin said, inspired to become a better person as part of all this work. And we understand that, and I just think it's important that that doesn't get lost, that all the coaches, because even the girls, if you look at the chart, want their same coach, and that coach can apply.
So how many coaches? We have 3 coaches now.
Technically,
Coordinators.
I just want to call it by what the contract
Okay.
is. So we have 3 coordinators, and the MOU will go to 1 head coordinator, coach, and then the 2 assistants.
So we'll have the same number of slots.
Yeah, and actually, just to be fair, so that we're all on the same page, the 3rd coordinator position was added probably maybe around 2022 because of growth. So when programs grow, we also add support. I think one of the boys had mentioned safety, right? Coach Stroni provides safety. And so it's really important to understand that as program goes, our athletic director and principal are always making those recommendations. And then we work with the union. Some of them take board action, some of them don't. But to change actually a pay scale on that supplemental is what takes board action. And so I think that this has been thought about, it's been talked about. Very happy to have the students present tonight and to share the information, parents. We also have gotten, I know, some emails and had some other phone calls and conversations as well to share different sides of whether the one dedicated coach model is best for the teams. But I can personally say that for the past couple of years, I've heard this strong desire for the teams to practice together, for the teams to run together, and to do some of that collaborative nature. I heard the word brotherhood from one of the students, and I really do think that that's something special about cross country. It's an individual sport because they're training and they're growing, and you've heard about the growth that's happened since middle school. But there's also a component of that, what we call connect, right? The togetherness that those teams have, and that's really important to sustain. And we hope that our coaching staff, as it develops, would be able to maintain that high standard and that dedication and that inspiration, if you will, for what's to come. So those were, I think, some of the key points about why the change was recommended, why it was made. It models, so if we think about this, and this may get a little complicated, and if I go too far down in the weeds, bring me up so that I can help you. But think about those multi-gender sports that compete at the same time, at the same place, right? Cross country is one of those, swimming is one of those. And we've seen extreme success in our swimming program with one head coach and multiple assistant coaches, as well as volunteers that support those programs. And so this is something that the cross-country team, prior to, I believe, 2022, had some varying structures within that coordinator model that I shared. But ultimately, it felt like it was one team. At least that's what's been shared with me. I think Ms. Rossi would agree.
Before
2022.
Okay.
And then that's when kind of this division of this is a boys team and this is a girls team. And it might, and whether it was 2022 or 2023 season, it was kind of in that year that those things started to shift. And then we've seen this strong division of this is the boys team, this is the girls team. So that, and that's kind of where we've seen that separation of practices, which is okay, just so, you know, there can be some separation. It also could be the separation of meets based on what students need to, which needs best meet the students' needs. Having multiple assistants allow for that as well. So if an assistant needs to take a team, a multi-gender team, girls and boys, to a different meet, we have that flexibility. With the 2 coaches, they all kind of go to the same meet because typically they're on the same day, from what I understand. And I'm getting really in the weeds of where I don't run distance. Never have, but have spent the time to learn what I could, especially over the last couple of weeks. And I have talked to the coach as well, and he's aware of his ability to apply for any position. So any question or doubt was cleared up.
Okay.
So if there's any other things that I could share or talk about in the process as we gather this information from different sides, I just think it's also important to have a perspective of everything as we're making this decision.
So I've talked to a number of parents who've called me over the course of the past week, and I'm going to just ask you some questions that they asked just to make sure that everything is clear. And I think you answered the first one, which is it's the same number of coaching positions.
Correct. And technically, I'll just tell you, technically, we did have 4 positions posted because we wanted we thought it would be beneficial to have another assistant support the boys' team, and we were unable to fill that, and the coach wasn't able to fill that position.
So at least historically, we do not have lines of people out the door wanting to apply for this coaching job.
Unfortunately, but I think with changing compensation, we can also better retain good people, which is something that's really important.
Good. Second thing is everyone who's currently a coach can apply for any of these positions going
Absolutely.
forward. And we would encourage them to apply for these positions. And we hope that people will apply because that's the purpose. The purpose is not to, so was the purpose to eliminate anyone or
No.
to? So the purpose was not to eliminate anyone, the purpose was just to make the structure better for the kids. Okay. And then the last question I got, which you answered earlier, but I want to make sure that the parents who called me heard, was nobody's taking a pay cut.
No, no, it will be I think that it's where it needs to be. So as we grow and learn through our supplemental contract, part of the piece of getting good coaches is to make sure that they're compensated and that we're competitive. And in some sports, specifically sports, because there's also like district leadership teams, department heads, those kinds of things. So I'm just talking about athletics right now. There are some places where I do see that adjustments need to be made, and so that we're compensating to be able to sustain good people and to recruit strong people for programming. And Mr. Barch has been working in evolving that. And we've had a couple agreements with the union to add coaches where programs have grown. So I want you to know there's been several of those occasions. And we also have to remember the reason that we have MOUs and the reason that these things change are because negotiated agreements are typically every 3 years. So next year we'll be renegotiating the teacher contract. And remember, a supplemental contract per the Ohio Revised Code is a supplement to a teacher contract. And I think sometimes that gets lost. And that's why our staff sometimes, you think teachers have priority. Why do they have priority? This is random. It's not random because the Ohio Revised Code sets that. It's a supplemental. And so after any teachers would be evaluated for the position, then it would go external, if you will. But those contracts are only negotiated every 3 years. So when we have a change, when we have a bump, when we have to change the finances, if you will, those things need to happen through a memorandum of understanding. And like I said, it's not something that we just that I come with my team to recommend lightly, if you will. This has been discussed. It's been discussed with the union. We actually go back and forth on proposals about where things fall, how does this work, and then once we reach an agreement, which is what you have in front of you, then they vote, and then you would make the decision on whether or not to accept the recommendation, the MOU. Once that happens, those positions should post, and I think positions would post by the end of the week, if not tomorrow. So maybe you want me to tell you approximate timeline for posting, for coaching?
Yeah,
Because that could be like
because
our
we do
next
want to
question.
encourage everyone to get their application in.
So those will post on our website, and I'll ask specifically that the postings be emailed to current coaches, just to make sure that there's no question, or they don't miss, sometimes we miss things. I don't think in this case that will be the problem, but to make sure that that goes out. Roughly, those post for about 2 weeks. That's kind of our posting before we start interviewing to collect. From there, we collect the applications, go through them, and then we would start an interview process. That's Charlie Barch, our athletic director, Ms. Rossi, our principal. From there, they go through the process and they make a recommendation. Then I review the recommendation, I talk with them, and then I bring it to you. So I would think somewhere probably in one of the June board meetings, you might see some more athletic, specifically the cross-country positions come through. You'll also see when we post this week, we have other coaching positions open. So it's not just cross-country, there are some positions that will post, as well as a middle school athletic director that Todd Toombs held that we were working through what the need was, had conversations with the union about, and so that will post as well.
So all 3 will post, and any of the 3 or anyone else can apply for any of the 3 positions.
Correct. And then also, please apply for any
Other
other coaching
coaching.
positions that you
And
would
bus
be eligible
drivers,
for.
please, bus drivers, we really need bus
Bus
drivers.
Yeah, I think that's posted too, but
Okay.
that's a rough draft. Amanda, did I have the timelines right? Okay. I just want to make sure, because that's really what their role is as the experts, is to do the interview process when it comes to something like a coach.
I just wanted to add one more thing to the discussion. First of all, thanks to the kids and parents for being here. It's really helpful to hear your perspectives. We appreciate how engaging you've been and engaging with us in a really positive and helpful way. Like with the survey, this is all great stuff to know. Like Dr. Pinzarski says, we have a lot of perspectives, and I wanted to read just an email that I got today from another cross-country parent who wasn't able to be here. I'll just read it all from beginning to end so you get full context. Lauren, I hope you and your family are well. I understand the Board of Education and high school administration are reviewing the Chagrin Falls High School cross-country program and coaches. As such, I wanted to provide some perspective as a parent who has had boys in the program since 2015. Over the past 3 years, the program has declined. The number of participants on the boys' team has decreased from 45 to 50 in 2015 to 19 to 25 to 35 the last 2 years. It went from a combined team where the boys cheered on the girls when they were running and vice versa. For many years, teammates cheered for the Chagrin runners if they were at the front going for the win or if they were near the back just trying to finish. There are still some examples of this, but I see less of it recently. I was very disappointed to see the girls and boys teams split completely last year, with boys and girls teams participating in different meets except for the CVC Championship and OHSAA tournament meets. All evidence suggests that this was due to the inability of the boys and girls head coaches to work together. I personally do not believe this sets a good example for the young adults who they are coaching. For many years, accomplishments were recognized regardless if the runner was setting a meet record on their way to states or if they had just broken 28 minutes for the first time. Although Coach Ferroni did share some of the meet results, I did not get the sense that recognition was the same this year or last. There appears to be less focus on individuals setting goals for the season and personal improvements. Over the past 3 years, I saw examples of some athletes given the option to choose if they wanted to participate in practices or do their own training, and being able to choose which meets they wanted to run in. This further erodes the sense of team when students are treated differently and not held to the same standards. The combined girls and boys team was very inclusive and had almost weekly social get-togethers outside of practices and meets that all were welcome to attend. I was personally aware of several situations where upper-class runners took freshmen under their wing to make them feel more welcome. I believe that the boys and girls teams should practice together and participate in the same meets. A combined team provides a stronger sense of community and more support. I do not believe that Coach Ferroni is a good candidate to lead this team. This is based on what I have personally observed over the past 3 years and conversations I have had with families and coaches who have worked with him at other schools. He seems to have difficulty working with other coaches, both at Chagrin and other schools. His inability to work well with other adults and inconsistency in how athletes are treated have contributed to a change from a sense of teamwork to a group of unaffiliated runners. Unfortunately, I have a prior commitment and I'm unable to attend the board meeting, but appreciate you reading this email and considering my input. Thanks, from Tom Fries. So I just wanted to add that to the discussion as well.
And just going back, we're voting just on the MOU tonight.
The structure.
Right,
the
just on the structure, anyone can apply.
And so I think this is one of those interesting moments of, so being on the school board is, for me, an exercise in balancing different opinions and finding the common ground and getting the best thing we can, keeping the focus on what's best for the kids and what's best for the programming. And it's really difficult because what you find is one family or one student can have one experience with someone and then somebody else can have a totally different experience. And they're both there's validity in all of it, right? So then you're trying to balance. And so I think what I like about what Jennifer said and what the structure is it creates an opportunity where the kids who are having a good experience hopefully can continue to have that experience, and we can keep what's good, and we can also elevate a system that we think we've seen to be a superior system through swimming, through the way cross country used to run, through the kinds of bonds. And I am a little biased because I'm a swim mom, but it was amazing, right? The kids really lifted each other up. There was huge support. There was an incredible skilled differentiation of demands for the different kids at different levels. They were able to go to separate meets when there was a huge level difference. And the top girls and boys could go to one meet, and the kids who were really just learning to swim could go to a different meet. But everybody got to participate and everybody got to work together. And then, I don't know if as a board, we like to talk about unsanctioned social events. But those, I will say, my daughter really enjoyed those too. And that was a cool aspect of it too, that I think that from my perspective, gets lost if we're not focusing a little bit on the unified model. So that's why I would be voting for, unifying. And I do hope that all of our coaches apply and we can continue what's really good, and just improve. Like, we're not looking to do away with anything, and this decision, let me ask you, Jennifer, I mean, my sense from talking to you about this over the last week was that this decision was not about eliminating any role, it was about keeping things the same, keeping the salaries the same, and creating a structure that was more collaborative.
And just one clarification, salary is the same for the two coordinators.
Right, and a raise for the
And
coach,
the
right. So, but nobody's taking a pay cut, which was one of the questions that came up a lot when I was talking to parents that I didn't know the answer to.
We want to preserve everything that's already working. We really want to amplify it to bring back some of the components of what it was and what was important. Because we've heard a lot, and I know Amanda could vouch for this as well, just about that piece and how important that was. So trying to bring that back too.
Okay.
Any other questions that I could answer for anyone?
And you said the timeline was a couple of weeks.
I'm gonna say, usually we open for 2 weeks before we interview. Now, that's just how we do it to ensure that people have time to apply, but I'll make sure that the postings are sent to all the current 3 head coordinators as well, so it's not missed.
So, in plenty of time for summer running plans or whatever.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I would anticipate a June, probably, do you think June hiring? Given our timelines, because especially if the current people apply, I think things would move faster too. just
So
depending on
hopefully
getting people
seamless
in
for the
different
kids
roles.
as far as their training and.
I hope
that
so.
stuff. Okay.
But you're approving the MOU.
MOU, right.
Which is the one that we agreed with the union.
And we wouldn't approve, the people who are hired wouldn't come back to us to approve until after, obviously, the positions are posted and.
And we have 2 meetings in June, so we would definitely, hopefully hit the first meeting. If not, we would hit the second.
Okay.
And there are multiple coaching positions coming out this week. So if there is interest, or even if you know someone that would have the talent to be able to coach one of our teams, we would love them to apply.
Great. Ashley, you want to take the roll?
Mrs. Miller,
Yes.
Dr. Sabo,
Yes.
Mrs. Bendel,
Yes.
Mrs. White.
Yes.
Okay.
Do you want to give another option to?
Yeah,
you
again,
can
we
leave
have
now
a
if you
pause
want.
for a second if you guys,
Just in case.
that's okay? But we're close to the end if you want to stay.
She'll give you more lessons on board.
Yeah, I can. I can talk more about board policy if you guys want to stay. Boy, that cleared out the room. Okay. Okay, item 4.05. I'd like to make a motion, I didn't skip one, did I? 4.0?
No,
Nope,
we
you're
didn't.
good.
That was 4.04.
I'd like to make a motion to approve item 4.05, which is a motion to approve staff resignations as presented. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Ashley, you want to take the roll?
Dr. Sabo,
Yes.
Mrs. Bendel,
Yes.
Mrs. White,
Yes.
Mrs. Miller.
Yes.
Item 4.06, I'd like to make a motion to approve the certified staff contracts for 2025-2026, school year contingent upon meeting all requirements as presented. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Ashley?
Mrs. Bendel,
Yes.
Mrs. White,
Yes.
Mrs. Miller,
Yes.
Dr. Sabo.
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve item 4.08, which is a motion to approve, sorry.
7?
4.07.
Oh,
The
I skipped
seven-
one.
It's on the bottom of the page.
Oh, sorry, where is it? Hold on.
Very bottom.
Okay, sorry, 4.07. I'd like to make a motion to approve item 4.07, which is a motion to approve the following certified staff for additional hours as presented. Do I
I'll
have a
second.
sorry, was that?
I'm seconding.
Okay, go ahead, Ashley.
Mrs. Hoy,
Yes.
Mrs. Miller,
Yes.
Dr. Sabo,
Yes.
Mrs. Bendel.
Yes. Make a motion to approve item 4.08, which is a motion to approve the following classified staff for additional hours as presented. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Ashley?
Mrs. Miller,
Yes.
Dr. Sabo. Yes. Mrs. Bendel,
Yes.
Mrs. Hoy.
Yes.
Item 4.09, I'd like to make a motion to approve the following custodial substitute contingent upon meeting all requirements. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Dr. Sabo. Yes. Mrs. Bendel,
Yes.
Mrs. Hoy,
Yes.
Mrs. Miller.
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the following summer seasonal workers contingent upon meeting all requirements. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Jennifer, do you know if I assume we're still looking for more? Okay, so we're still looking for more seasonal workers. It's just a part-time summer job, but you have to be over 18. Ashley, you want to take the roll?
Mrs. Bendel,
Yes.
Mrs. Hoy,
Yes.
Mrs. Miller,
Yes.
Dr. Sabo.
Yes.
4.11, I'd like to make a motion to approve the following summer tech interns contingent upon meeting all requirements. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
What is this?
It's a great program.
That's why I asked.
Mr. Doherty, do you want to share?
It looked cool.
We typically employ students from the summer to help us get Chromebooks and other various parts of research ready for the following year. Everything from unboxing them to rolling them to grading them at the Basic Center. This year, what we will do is afterwards, interactive display formats that will be updated.
Do they take the paper clips out of the charging ports?
Not talking.
Too soon.
Too soon? Too soon? I should have brought it up. Okay, okay.
Bro's got PTSD.
The email just came out.
That's great, and it sounds awesome, and I wish it had been around when my kids were here, because it's a relatively new thing, right?
Yeah, we started doing it, I want to say 21 from after COVID.
And what is the age requirement for this? These are students.
These are students, so typically, I like them if they can drive, in this case, one of them can't, which is close enough to be here. Then typically we would start driving.
Okay.
That's cool. Thanks for doing that, Mike, that's great.
I love it, it honestly better than both sides, it's great.
Yeah, what an awesome thing for them to have and to kind of explore that area and be able to put on their applications and really, give back to the school, it's great.
Well, and the next part is the way we structure it, really is work when you're able to, because we have a deadline when everything has to be done. But if your family's moving on vacation for a week, that's fine. If you just don't want to come in for a week, that's fine too. We just need to get this much done by this date, and that, I think, is real fun.
Super flexible.
Wonderful, thank you. Ashley?
Mrs. Hoy,
Yes.
Mrs. Miller,
Yes.
Dr. Sabo. Yes. Mrs. Bendel.
Yes. Okay, I'd like to make a motion to approve item 4.12. This is a motion to approve a contract with DEX Imaging for EFAX services from May 2025 through August 2031 as presented. Do I have a second?
I'm seconding, sorry.
Um,
I'm sorry. Whew, I'm being
Faxes
professional.
do
Faxes.
Yeah, I know, I
They
know.
don't go away, so.
But
the
it's not
e-fax
an
would be-
email.
No,
It's just a
not an
digital
Not an
fax.
email, it's different.
It's different.
And it has different requirements. We have HIPAA and FERPA that we have to abide by, and fax has different security. I'm sure Mr. Doherty could explain it much better, but there's higher security in those, so we do still fax people, even though it feels as if you're just emailing them.
Do we mimeograph those things we fax?
Can we
Put
put
it
it
on
on like a
mimeograph anything.
projector if we need to?
No.
Okay, just checking. Okay, you want to take the roll on this one, Ashley?
Yes, Mrs. Miller,
Yes.
Dr. Sabo. Yes. Mrs. Bendel,
Yes.
Mrs. Hoy.
Yes, sorry, I'll be more professional.
Okay, item 4.13. I'd like to make a motion to approve Resolution 25-016 and an agreement with Ayers Well Drilling Limited for well drilling work on the Gurney campus as presented. Do I have a second?
I will second.
Jennifer, you want to tell us what this one is, or?
It's just things to do on the Gurney campus with regard to how the water is collected, and at least it's nothing to do with how it's tested or anything like that.
Is
We
this-
did not those emails.
Is this related, is this something that is because of the parking lot work, or is this something we just do on
I
a?
think it's just something that's done.
Ongoing.
Honestly, the parking lot was not mentioned to me when we talked about these, so
Okay,
it's just contracts to do some work.
okay, great. Ashley?
Dr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mrs. Bendel?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoy?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Okay, item 4.14, I make a motion to approve resolution 25-017, committing to repair of the Chagrin Falls High School visitor grandstands with Millstone Management Group at an amount not to exceed $202,658 as presented. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any questions on this one?
The only thing I will mention to you is while you're seeing repairs, and it's really important that we're compliant and that we have things to the top quality we can, based on the athletic committee, I think from a year ago, maybe 2 years, they're working, Chris Wolfter is working with Charlie Barge and with some of our teams to decide what are the upgrades and what are things to put together, like a facility improvement plan for our athletic fields and spaces. And I'll just speak, if you have not seen the softball field, it's really nice, and I was able to attend that dedication. And I just think it was a great showcase of how we can come together and support facilities for our students. So more to come, I hope.
That's great. And do you know, maybe this is a question I need to ask Chris, do you know if any of this impacts the space underneath that's the concession space for music lovers?
I
This is
do
all above.
not think this has anything to do with concessions.
Okay,
I mean, or impacting it in
Okay.
any way, let's put it that way.
okay. Ashley?
Mrs. Bendel?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoy?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Dr. Sabo?
Yes.
Okay, that's it for the superintendent recommendations. We're on to the treasurer recommendations.
Okay, item 5.01 is a then and now certificate. This is for Bright Futures Therapeutic Services for student evaluation in the amount of $3,152.50. The invoice date preceded the purchase order, so in order to make this compliant with the law, we have to approve the then and now. Recommending your approval.
So moved. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Ashley?
Mrs. Hoy?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Dr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mrs. Bendel?
Yes.
And just one reminder, how we talked about there's 2 meetings, the financials, we wouldn't have 2 financial reports per month, we would have 1. So that's why there's not any other
We've
financials
got
on
one
this
in 2
agenda,
weeks. We got
just so
one.
that
Yeah,
it's
we
fair
should.
and be on the
I
next
thought you were
meeting.
Got it.
about the finance.
And also that.
Any other business? And do we have anybody signed up for public participation on a non-agenda item?
No.
Okay.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to enter into executive session in accordance with Ohio Revised Code 121.22 for the sole purpose of the consideration of the following matters: to consider one or more, as applicable, of the checkmarked items with respect to a public employee or official. Checkmarked items are employment, discipline, and compensation of a public employee or official. Do I have a second?
I will second.
Okay, we will not, we're not taking action after executive
Afterwards,
session.
correct.
Okay, so we will
Okay.
not take action after executive session. Our next meeting is
May 28th.
May 28th, and it will be here in the Chagrin Falls High School Library.
We need to call the roll on that exec session. Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Dr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mrs. Bendel?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoy?
Yes.